Welcome to RV to Freedom Live with Carenza and Brandon.
Howdy.
We're here to help future nomads smoothly transition into full-time RVing. We do that a multitude of ways.
In our Facebook group, RVtofreedomgroup.com, on our Facebook page, Carenza and Brandon RV to Freedom. We have a website, RVtofreedom.com, and we also have a course called Roadmap to Full-Time RVing, and you can find that at roadmaptofulltimerving.com, where we lay it all out for you.
Yeah, I see a couple guys or people here from it. Hey, Paul and Lynn. Hey, Tony and Janet, Russell and Gary, you guys are all here. That's awesome. I feel like a kid waiting for the candy store to open.
Well, that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah. Hey, Bob and Evelyn.
But we should, the kid waiting at the candy store, there should be a treat for you at the end.
Yes.
So
yeah.
Just hang out.
Oh, and Nancy and Christine and Brigitte are here too. All right, we got a lot of Freedom RVers tonight jumping on here. Let's see. That threw me off for some reason. So we do want to ask you guys, have you gone full-time yet? Or
are you full-timers? Are you dreamers? Are you part-timers or some-timers? Or maybe you did it a while ago and you're not doing it anymore? Or maybe you're taking a break.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
And if you're looking to hit the road or started, are you hoping that full-time RVing can save you some money? You're hoping that living in an RV, even just saying that, living in an RV is going to save you a little cash.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people do this because they think they want to save money. Or do you already have a budget in place for RVing? Do you know what it's going to cost you and you're ready to go? Hey, Daniel's first time pop-up. We had a pop-up. That was how we got started. That was fun. And I still like pop-ups when we see them around the park.
Hey, Allison, they're up in Sault Ste. Marie.
Not
Fairly
too far
close.
from us.
Yeah.
Some people in SoCal. That must be nice. It was raining today.
And Evelyn, you're going full-time August 1st. You went full-time, I should say, August 1st. It is after August, isn't it? It is. So congrats. Yay. And we know Evelyn's been in the group for a while. So that's exciting.
And Rita's a 2020 dreamer. That's coming up faster than you know.
Oh, yeah.
You'll be on the road soon.
Definitely. So we want to talk tonight about how you affect your full-time RVing budget and all your costs, because it can be a very individualized thing.
I think it is always a very individualized thing. So bad news, if you're coming here tonight for us to throw a number at you and say that's what it costs, you're in the wrong place. We don't do that. We really want to make sure that it's the life you choose, it's the life you want to live, and it reflects how you want to do it. And it's going to be different for everybody.
Yeah, there's unfortunately no set number that you can say it always costs this much, because there are many different people living this life many different ways. But we can talk about...
Sorry, Paul spends more on beer now. Yes, I could see that. Yeah. Yes. Make sure your beer budget is accounted for.
There are some things that we can tell you how it affects your RVing costs. And Sally, they're planning an October 1st full-time launch. Woo! That's coming up! Yay! That's pretty exciting.
And Richard's about 90 days out.
Nice. We got a lot of people like Greg. Okay, so if you guys remember too, hopefully you remember a few weeks back, we asked what you wanted to learn more about in the group. We took a poll, and one of them was the cost of full-time RVing. So we're doing this show, and we're going to create some blog posts about it too, a little more information. But we have created this awesome free resource for you that we're going to launch at the end of the show. So make sure you stick around and get in on that.
Oh, sorry, Sonny, if you're having trouble with video. It happens sometimes. Try refreshing your feed, and hopefully it comes in. And maybe other people can tell them that as well. But yeah, there is a free resource at the end of this, because there's no way in the short amount of time that we're going to be on here that we can just nail it for you. I can tell you it's going to cost X amount of dollars, and you can go with that assumption, and then you'll find out you're wrong, and I'll be like, oh, too bad, and then roll on. But we'd really like for you to get like good information and build a good solid foundation. So we started the question of the show is RVing cheaper than real life? And some of you kind of like, well, this is real life, and it is.
That's
you know. Sorry.
Yeah. The question is, what is real life? Are we getting all philosophical here? What does life mean? What is real life? Are we really in a dream? Well, for RVing, maybe we are. Yeah. But it is kind of dreamy. We think it is. But it is real life. When you become a full-timer, this is your real life. And it doesn't mean we like it, we think it's dreamy, but we still have ups and downs, we still have bills to pay.
The stupid bills just keep finding us, even though we keep driving around, and the stupid bills just, I guess we don't have to call and ask for our mail. We could just not ask for our mail anymore. But anyway, yeah, this is our live show, and here we go. So someone wants to just get to the content, and this is how we do it. So we'll get there eventually, or you can catch the replay.
When you transition to full-time RVing, this is your real life, and you have to look at it that way. And what you need to do is look at your real life now.
Yes.
Because what you spend, your expenses, some of the what you spend and what you do in your life now is going to reflect your RVing life and affect your RVing life in the future.
Yep. So if you are someone who's living very modestly now, perhaps your house is paid off, you don't have that payment, you cook your own meals, you stay around your house, you don't take a lot of vacations, you have a pretty good budget, you're really tight on it. You need to think about that when you get into RV life. There might be new things that you're going to have to think about. And on the flip side of that, if you're a person that's just crazy and you go shopping all the time and you eat out all the time, you love to go to restaurants, you love to go see things, well, guess what? There's a whole lot of things to go see when you RV.
So, do you know how much you spend now? Because it's gonna take part of that. If you did you already say, I'm sorry, I was reading that, but did you skip to this part already about if you do live modestly?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm sorry, I jumped the gun. I'm not following the script. I do this all the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
He does. But yeah, so it can depend, because if you do have a house, your house is paid off and you live modestly, you're adding in expenses.
Yeah.
So you might be surprised.
Yeah, this is one of those weird places in RV life where if you already live a very inexpensive life, RV life might end up being more expensive for you. Where on the other hand, if you live a very expensive life, RV can continue to be expensive for you, or it could be less expensive. So it's one of those things that sometimes shocks people because they think, well, I thought this was going to be cheaper. Then all of a sudden you find out that it's really not.
Right. Absolutely. So that's why we say that your life now is going to reflect and affect your RVing life, because it's not just an automatic thing either way.
Right.
A lot of it depends on your spending habits and what you like to do. So if you should know your spending habits, and in general, in a way, and if you don't, you should keep track of them so that you have an idea going in before you make assumptions that, oh, well, the RVing is going to be this much cheaper. I can save money by RVing because I'm going to be eating at home all the time. Well, you need to really look at what you do, because that's not the same thing as just assuming that you'll be able to save money. If you look at what your actual spending habits are, you might realize you might need to cut back in other ways, and this isn't going to fix, because guess what? Your habits come with you.
Yes.
I guess you've had that on screen for a while.
No, I'm just thinking of our habits and how they came with us. And So we lived around New York City, and we would work late, and we would order food, and you could order any kind of food and have it delivered. We had so much food delivered to our house that when the doorbell rang, our dog would go to the door and wait for the delivery because he knew it was food. And we just kind of rolled that right into full timing, and then everywhere you go has a new restaurant and a new place to try.
And I mean that's the thing. I like to try different things. Like one of the things I wanted to do when we left was try restaurants everywhere, try regional foods and local foods, and see what was happening everywhere. And we did have the habit of, being around New York City, we'd get home late. I mean, I was coming in from the city, and so like it was late when we got there. And Brandon just likes to eat out anyway. That's his thing.
Because I got a pile of dishes I got to do right over here. That's why.
Yeah. So that was very easy habit to take with us, because I do like to cook too, because I just like to go. I like to go to farmers markets. I like food.
Yeah.
But it was a habit to take. So we had to be realistic with ourselves on that point. And even when we tried not to be, we found out we still had that habit.
Oh yeah. Well, it's just so easy. I mean, even yesterday we were, or the day before, we went across the bridge to Mackinac City, and then it was starting to get late, and it's like, oh, let's just eat out because we're out and there's food and it's available. But we had stuff at home, and it was going to go bad if we didn't. So we made the grown-up choice, and we went home and cooked dinner like we're supposed to, and stop this crazy eating out habit that we have. And everybody has habits. Like Paul's got his beer habit, and if you like different beers, different places, everywhere you go is going to have a new brewery. So budget for it or control yourself.
Yeah, anything on the road can be amplified. If you like theme parks, guess what? There's a whole country full of theme parks that you can go around to, and you can drive from one to the next. And so just like all that little stuff, all these random things that you don't think about, you can like turn it up to 11 doing this. And
it's nonstop.
Yeah, nonstop. So you gotta watch that. And it's important to remember this when planning your RV budget, because it's something that you got to think about. Like for us, the whole eating out and spending on food. I mean, like our food and dining in general, that's eating out and our groceries. We had to. It was about the same.
Yeah.
From when we were living in our sticks and bricks to when we went RVing, because we wanted to try all the different things, and we were always somewhere new.
Yeah, and our dining budget was pretty obscene. It would be a lot of people's full-time budget. And so
I hope maybe.
Well, not a lot of people's, but I know it is some people's full-time budget. So we, and our life has changed over the years, and we've changed that, and we're changing it more, and we're trying to be better at it every day, just to make it more under control. But that's the whole point of all this. I've been watching this guy waffling, talking, is that full-timing isn't a magic bullet. Just throwing your life in an RV doesn't mean your life gets cheaper. No. It could very well get more expensive, and maybe it gets cheaper, but you have to still do the work. You still have to make it work.
Right.
And then
this is it's going to sound like a little off topic, but I saw somebody ask if we had laundry. Where did it go? Laundry.
Yeah. Oh, Daniel.
Laundry in ours, and we don't. So we had to account for a laundry budget. I mean, even if you have it in your house, you're paying for the water and all of that stuff.
Very minimal compared to the $4 a load that you pay some places. So it is, we don't have laundry on board, so it is something we have to account for. There's lots of little line items that you may not have in your house now, and you may be thinking, get rid of my house, get rid of all these bills, but you're going to have different bills.
Right.
And so that's a thing we gotta think about. What are all those bills, and make sure you actually know what they are when you're starting.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And the thing of it is, like we said, okay, full timing is not a magic bullet. It's not automatic that you can. I live one way, you move into an RV, and bam, automatic savings. Because like we talked about, if you live modestly, you have a house that's paid off, you're going to add in expenses. It may be worth it for you. You know, if this is what you want to do, we're not saying don't do it, because it's not always about saving money. That's not why we did it. We went into travel. That was our reason for going out.
Yeah.
But if part of that is your reasoning, you need to actually look at it ahead of time and not just assume.
And part of what you have to do, I'll sound like a parent now, is make good choices. Make choices that aren't going to end up costing you money down the road, because, you know, the way you were camping or the places you're going or how frequently you're moving, all of those things start to add up and just make it more and more expensive. And if you really are trying to control that budget, then you really do have to think about the lifestyle that you're going to live and stick to it. Otherwise, you'll run out of money real fast.
Mm-hmm. And yes, Bridget, the campsites, their laundry rooms are coin laundry, except for like one I think we've been at. Oh, or Louisiana State Parks.
Louisiana State Parks. Yeah.
Yes.
So
it's all about the choices you make, and the choices you make affect your budget and affect the costs of RVing for you, depending upon the RV you choose. You can make your costs go up or down. Depending upon your travel style, you can make your costs go up and down.
And like we said, the food and dining totally throw your costs off, we know. And even your habits and your expenses. If you are you just like to buy things, then there's plenty of things to buy. Everywhere's new. There's always something new to go buy.
Or, the theme parks, that would add up. Just any of those that your habits or your personal expenses or things that you like to do. I mean, that's all going to affect what you spend.
Yeah, for sure. And David has a question. How about spending now to save later? Are savings from things like solar and generators, washer and dryer and stuff worth the initial cost? It depends. It depends on how much it costs, and is it going to give you a lifestyle you want to live? We have solar, and it costs us quite a bit. And I think by now we probably have camped off-grid enough to offset the cost of it. But it's a big expense, and we enjoy off-grid camping. Now, if you go put $5,000 in solar or more on your RV, and then you find you don't like camping off-grid, not really worth it.
Right.
Same thing. There's membership programs you can buy to camp. They can cost you a bit up front, but if you enjoy staying at those places, then yes, they're definitely worth it. But if you buy it and never use it, then no. Laundry, that's a personal thing. I just hate laundry, so I'd rather just go do it all at once. And I've said this a bunch of times, rather just go do it all at once in 2 hours and be done with it for 2 weeks.
And for us too, with the size RV we wanted, in our second RV, it's not really an option.
Yeah,
and they don't really come with that.
But the size RV we chose, and some of the choices we chose, allow us to camp cheaper or free in different places, and that was another thing. So
we wanted this size RV, so we gave up a laundry option.
So
in
some
our
things
other one,
are.
We actually gave up the laundry option on purpose.
Yeah,
we did have it, and we didn't want it.
So some things, yes, they're worth paying for to save you some. Some things aren't. One of the it's all, but that's the thing. It's the choices, and is it the life you want? Because if you have this dream of being in manicured RV parks all the time, but your budget doesn't match your dream, we don't want you to be disappointed when you're living in a place that you didn't expect to live in, and like, well, I gave up my nice yard and my house and all that. But if you enjoy off-grid camping and want to do that, then there's cool ways to get it really cheap if you want to do it. Yes. No, maybe. That's the answer for every single question in the RV world, except do you leave your black tank open?
Yeah.
No, it's no.
No, I mean, that is correct. Truly, the Louisiana State Parks and Laundry, it was that the laundry is actually free at the state parks in Louisiana. At least it used to be, unless they changed something. So that was that question. So there are a lot of choices to make, and there's line items and things that are going to be brought in. Like if you are not paying, if you have laundry in your house right now and you don't think of it as a separate line item because it just rolls into your
it affects
washing.
your electricity a little bit.
Right.
It affects your water a little bit, but water bills are usually low anyway.
Right.
But it's
and you're not putting it as a separate line item in your budget.
Yeah. But now if you've got to keep rolls of quarters around so you can do laundry, it's a thing to think about. And just other things. There's going to be all kinds of little fees. You're going to get rid of your trash collection because you're not going to have that anymore. You're going to get rid of most of your electric bills, except sometimes you will pay electric. But then you're going to add in other things that go to RVing, and you just need to know all of that. And so we created a resource that we are going to share with you. It's a free email course on the cost of full-time RVing. And one of the cool things it's got in there is it's got a budget worksheet that shows you a lot of the line items that you need to think about that maybe you haven't thought about yet. So you can start going in and filling those in or figuring them out and trying to understand what they're going to mean for you, as well as more explanation, and Prince can talk you through it better, of just what you need to be thinking about when you RV.
Yes, because it's not always just about the straight up numbers. And that's what the worksheet is for. I thought I shared.
That's in here.
Oh,
go.rvtofreedom.com/costs. Prince just shared it.
Okay, yes, I shared the link to it so you can sign up right there. But again, it's not always just about the numbers. And that's the worksheet allows you to figure out, gives you the place of different items, the different line items that should be in your budget. That will be for RV specific items and for the rest
life.
of it.
Because you're still this is still real life, like we said. So you still have all your normal, junk you got to deal with.
Right. Absolutely. Your life is still your life. But it's also to get you thinking about where you need to be with your mindset, with the cost that, like, how you have to think about things. And it gives you examples, too, in there of how different people
we've
live.
Put in there 3 case studies of different types of people to show you, like, okay, on this budget, this is kind of what their life looks like. On this budget, this is what their life looks like. And on this budget, this is what their life looks like. And then maybe you can kind of see yourself in these people and think, hey, I look like this guy, so maybe my budget should be around this much. But that's not good enough. There's tons of YouTube videos out there and blogs that are like, my budget is this. Don't just take somebody's budget and say, that's what mine's going to be too. You got to do the work. You
have to match it up to yours too.
Yeah.
Because not everyone.
And first step, if you don't know what yours is, now, then how can you make one for a year from now when you're full timing?
Right.
First thing is figure out what you're spending now, and I know a lot of people don't do that, but it's a big part of this. If you're trying to do this because you're trying to keep it cheap and you don't have like an unlimited slush fund to play in. You got to figure it out because it's real easy to spend a lot of money RVing.
Right.
But it's also real easy to be cheap at it too. Mike, I put the link on the screen, and it's also, Krenza will paste it again into the comments. So it's go.rvtofreedom.com/costs, like the cost of full timing.
Yes.
And how many days is it?
It's 6 days plus the confirmation.
Yeah,
it's about a week.
It's a free email course. You'll get a new email every day for about a week, and it tells you, just kind of walks you through it, keeps you moving, and keeps you going. And again, like, it's a huge topic, and even this cost part is a small part of a very, very big topic called full-time RVing.
Well, and even like the cost is a small part of the financials of full-time RVing.
Yeah, because a lot of you I see in here are asking, well, how do you make money? And that's the whole other side of the coin. Right now, we're just talking about what it's going to cost you. But then on the other side is, well, okay, well, where's that money coming from to pay for what it costs you? And there are a lot of good resources in our Facebook group. If you go to the files section, we've captured a lot of the resources that different people have posted throughout the time that the groups existed.
Right.
So,
and what they do, what people have asked, what do you guys do on the road? And people have answered.
Yeah.
So you can go there and look at that.
Yeah.
Greg, you want to know what BLM is?
Yeah,
That
Greg was
is
asking about, well, I don't know if
Bureau
Greg
of
was,
Land Management.
yeah, Bureau of Land Management.
Federally managed land. Most of it, all of it.
All of it's in the West.
Is in the West.
But it's land that is free. Most of the land is free to camp on. Normally, it's a 2-week stay maximum. Sometimes it's 16 days. Sometimes it's less. There are also places like the long-term visitor areas out there where you could stay for the entire winter for only like $150. Now, there's no hookups. You've got to deal with everything yourself. So it's a cool way to go. A lot of people do that in the wintertime. So we do that in the wintertime, and it's pretty nice when we're out there.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
It is. So, sorry, I keep saying so. I picked that up from you.
No, Jerry, you're not the only ones that didn't know. Lots of people don't know what it means, and that's what we're here for.
Yes.
Yeah, BLM land is cool. National Forest land has free camping. Water management areas has free camping.
We're paying for it with our tax dollars.
Yeah, it's not free. You've already paid for it.
You need to be self-contained. But when we were talking, someone was asking about solar. And we're saying, if you put it on, what if you get out there and you really don't enjoy that?
Yeah.
You might not want to do that. You don't have to have solar to start out either.
No,
you just need
you
a
can
way
do it
to
with the
keep your
generator
batteries
as long as
charged.
you can get those batteries charged.
Mm-hmm.
And an inexpensive generator can get you started. Find out if you like it. It's always nice to have a generator anyway, in case you need to park anywhere.
But it is a good option to keep your costs lower. And I mean,
our budget in the wintertime, it just goes.
Yes, I actually did take a screenshot. You can see our campground costs over the last 4.5+ years. But I realized that I set up the live, so I can't share my screen, and I can't paste a photo into the thread at the moment. But it goes up and down, and then it was like the winter, and we're just hanging out west the past year, and it just dips really low and stays.
And that's an interesting thing too about the cost of full timing. Your regular life, with the exception of electricity or heating fuel, tends to stay fairly consistent. Your eating out budget stays consistent. Your mortgage or rent is consistent. Everything is pretty consistent. In the wintertime, you pay more to heat. In the summertime, you pay more to cool. But even that, year to year what it's going to be. RVing varies a lot. We're moving towards the East Coast. East Coast gets more expensive. Campgrounds, there's much more time spent in campgrounds. The campgrounds are more expensive. How far we travel depends on how much fuel we use. So if we don't move a lot in a month, then that budget item's great. So there's another one
that I took our past almost 5 years now. It's just up and down, and then it's just crazy how much it can fluctuate.
Yeah, so that's another thing you have to look long term over the year. And then if you are really tight on a budget and you want to do these different things, you got to think about, okay, well, I've got to set some of this money aside so I can get to the east or get wherever I want to go and plan it out so that you don't run out of money when you get somewhere.
Now you need to make sure that you're not just basing it off of 1 month of this is how my life is going to be the whole rest of the time.
Yeah.
Because it can fluctuate, and you need to plan for that stuff.
Exactly.
Ahead of time. Because if you hung around one place, it's going to be different if you travel a bunch the next time. So yeah, you have to look at that stuff ahead of time.
Just looking through questions here. Yeah, Selma has the Mint app. We use Mint as well. Is a great way to go ahead and figure out your budget now. So you can get started figuring it out.
That is actually the first step. If you don't know what you're spending now, start keeping track, because you have to know where you are in order to build a budget to figure out what it will cost you. It's not something that you can just guess.
Yeah.
You need to figure out what you're spending now, because it does affect.
And Bob, you're in our
you're
in our student group, so I'm gonna talk to you about something cool we're working on, but we will help you out with your question for sure. Sonny, we have stayed in Thousand Trails parks as non-members, which you can totally do, which is a good way to try them out. You just pay like a regular rate. But we know a lot of people that stay in Thousand Trails and they like it a lot. It's one of those things you got to pay for up front, and then you got to use it. And the more you use it, the cheaper it gets. And for a lot of full-timers, they can't full-time without it. Yeah. So it is something that if you do want to be in parks, you do want to be hooked up, it is something you may really want to look at, because for us, we like to be off grid more. So we chose that way, but I could see ourselves in the future moving, maybe getting some sort of a Thousand Trails membership, or we could stay in certain areas.
Right.
But it is definitely something that is very popular with full timers.
Yeah. And it's just, you have to look at where you're going to be, where it is.
Yeah. And,
that's it. In the parks, our experience with it we've been in some nice parks, and we've been in some kind of parks. Some very old and outdated, where you couldn't actually hook your sewer up except at prescribed times.
Yeah, so
you had to be on a schedule where certain campsites could only dump on a certain day at a certain time. And that's a little awkward and weird, because it wouldn't work out for us to dump right before we were leaving. Yeah. So it would, like the one in Orlando is very nice.
Yeah, that's the thing with Thousand Trails is you can't, they're not all the same. And so it comes down to where you want to be and where do you like to go, and is that park nice where you're going to be there? Because we've had some weird experiences, and I'd say our experiences have been about 50-50, but we don't do it a lot either. Nice.
But that's also what I've heard too. Yeah. A lot of that is about 50-50. Some are great, some aren't. It's just, it depends on where you are, what the park's like. Because they range. It's not like there's a standard.
It's not like a franchise where like every Subway restaurant's the same that you go into. Thousand Trails is just a hodgepodge of different parks that were added to the system over the years, and they're all individually managed, and they, some are nicer and some are kept up more and some aren't, just like regular RV parks. So yeah, that's what we have to say about this. You should do the free email course. That's going to get you into more detail, get you the worksheet, and really get you started on the right foot. There's no way we could do it all here. So
no, we would
I'm just gonna
be here forever.
Yeah. Jerry had another question.
And it's easier if you go through, and because we need you to, you need to look at this. It's an easy way to digest it. You go through one day, because you need to think about stuff at the end of each of these emails, each of these lessons. And so that way you can read through it, go through it, stop, think, put yourself into that mindset, go through whatever you need to do, and then you get to move on, and then you move on to the next step. Yep. And you wouldn't get that all here. So it's much easier, and then you can actually download that budget worksheet and start filling that out too.
And Jerry had a question about keeping up with medications. A lot of people just use like the nationwide pharmacies, Walgreens, Walmart, Costco, those kinds of places. But if you do have an opioid type prescription where you have to go to your doctor every 3 months to get it re-prescribed, and they can only give you one prescription, they can only fill 1 month at a time, there's really not a good way around that. That's a DEA law. That's not something the doctors can deal with. So there are some ways around it, not around it, but there's some ways to deal with it as far as like moving your domicile to a central state and making sure you can get through it. Some people just... What's that?
Like every 3 months or something.
Some people even just budget to fly back to their home state and get their prescription. So it's something they can do, but that's only for like the opioid narcotic type prescriptions that are very highly controlled. Or not just opioids, but also narcotics like Adderall, things like that.
Narcotics and
that are very, very highly controlled.
Nancy, it is not, the email course is not the same as the roadmap to full-time RVing course that you're in.
But you are in the course, so you have
Yes.
gotten all
You
of this
get
information
all of-
because that was the next thing I was going to talk about is we all know the cost is a very tiny part. There's the getting prescriptions, the outfitting your RV, the jobs you can do on the road, mail, healthcare, all of that stuff on top of shopping for the RV and making sure you don't get a piece of junk. That's what the roadmap course is. The roadmap to full-time RVing course is everything. And this is just a speck of dust compared to that, really. Well, maybe a little more than a speck of dust.
Yeah.
Prince worked hard on it. No, but I just want you to know that this is a small drop in a very big bucket. And if you're serious about full timing, the roadmap course is out there for you as well. So,
oh, great.
Yeah, Paul is one of those. He has an issue that there's just no way around that drug issue, and they budget. I think you were the example in my head. You just budget to fly home every 3 months and see the doctor.
Like the National Park Pass, yeah, the $80 annually, but that is just for entry into the national park.
Unless you're a senior.
Yeah. Well, no. The
seniors get a discount on camping.
Discount, but it's not. It's camping isn't included with it. But the national park. Sorry, I was trying to figure out which part I was answering now. National parks do offer camping at some of them, not all of them, but most of them do. But the pass is just for the entry, unless you have a senior pass. But if you're paying the $80, that's just a regular pass.
Well, no, the senior pass is $80.
Oh, we did go up to it, didn't it?
Used to be 10, now it's 80.
Yeah. But the senior pass does give you 50% off the camping, but the national park pass is just an entry fee. But if you're going into the parks, it's totally worth it. But the camping is on top of that, and they do offer that. A lot of the national park camping is dry camping. They don't have hookups there. There's not like electricity and a sewer, definitely not.
And a lot of those are older campgrounds as well, which means they're going to have smaller spots because RVs weren't as big as they are now.
Right.
So that's when you're making choices. That's one of those factors you have to factor in. If you're a national park person and you want to go there, then you might want to think about getting a smaller RV.
Daniel asked if we had pets, and I was trying to look.
Kona's
laying down behind us.
Kona's asleep. Lucy's right here. She's asleep. Yeah, we have pets. We have 2 dogs. We started out with 2 cats as well. One of them just got old and moved on, and the other one was a hitchhiker and ran away in San Diego. But we picked her up in Ohio at a campground when it was freezing cold, and then when we got to San Diego, she left. So we just figured she was just hitching a ride. And Nancy, there are the insurance Skype type visits. We also use a telemed thing where you can just call them in and say, I'm running a fever, I've got these symptoms, and a doctor talks to you. And in most states, there's a couple states that it's not legal, but in most states it does work.
It won't work for the narcotics and opioids.
No, not at all.
That does not work for that.
Mostly like I've got the flu and I feel like I've got the flu.
Yes. Yeah.
Let's see. Someone said they were having trouble getting in. Susan, just make sure you're typing it right. It's go.rvtofreedom.com/costs. And I'm in it now, so it should be working. You guys hugged it to death.
Cat, you're always late.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. But yeah, we are actually about to head off of here. But I did put that link in again, so you can try to click it from there. Let us know if you're still having trouble.
And Regina had a question, how long does the roadmap course take? That is different than this course we're talking about now. This is a cost of full-time RVing course that is an email course, and it's free, and it comes to you once a day in your email for about a week. The roadmap course, the big daddy that does everything for you, we've designed it like an 8-week course. You can do it at your own pace. If you want to blow through it fast, you can. If you want to go through it slow, you can. Once you're in, you're in. You're in there forever. So you don't have to like rush through it or feel like you got a timeline on it. But we would love you to start it earlier rather than later so that we can catch you before you make mistakes. And just a shameless plug, since I'm already doing a bunch of shameless plugs, is that one question earlier, is it worth it to spend some money to save some money? Yes. This is a place where we think, take the course. There's bound to be one thing that we save you money on in our course that totally offsets the cost of the course. We've saved one person from frying every electronic in their RV. We saved another person from having the wrong kind of insurance when a tree fell on their RV, and they were able to trade out one brand new Newmar for another brand new Newmar because they had the right kind of insurance plan. So there's a lot to RVing, and you can totally figure it out on your own. We did it. A lot of people have done it, and every one of us has, spent a good amount of money trying to figure it out on our own. And so that's what we built the course for, is try to help you guys not have to go through the same process everyone else does.
Nancy, the size that we got, we just wanted to be able to stay in spots, like Blake mentioned, that some are 35 feet or less. And so when we have a 30-foot RV, we can stay in those spots. We can maneuver a little quicker. We can just stay in like the spots that are smaller or get into tighter kind of areas.
Yeah.
And
it used to be that a private vehicle legally could not be longer than 35 feet. So there was no motivation for a campground to build sites more than 35 feet long. Over the years, that's extended, and now you can have a 45-foot private vehicle. But some of the older campgrounds, which tends to be the government-run ones, the national parks, the state parks, things like that, tend to have smaller spaces. Now, that doesn't mean they're all small. There's plenty of places you can get without that. But that's something to think about if that's a life you're after.
And the swimming pools,
that's interesting.
There's been a lot this summer.
It really depends on where you go.
It really does. But you can definitely find them almost everywhere you go. If there's multiple campgrounds, one of them usually has a swimming pool. I feel like they're more out east than they are out west.
Although there was a really nice YMCA in Colorado that you could pay a daily fee.
But that wasn't at the campground either. But
a campground doesn't really have lap pools.
No, that's true. Pools. That is true. They don't have lap pools.
I think if you're looking for like an Olympic-sized lap pool daily, it might be tough. But you should be able to find pools in campgrounds. Yeah, like she said.
Yeah, you'll find pools at campgrounds. Maybe probably more than half that we stay at. But if you look for those kind of campgrounds, you'll find them. But if you want a straight up lap pool, then you're going to be hitting the Y a lot more.
But a lot of them have like daily access fees you can pay. Jerry, which should you do first, the roadmap or the email course? That's totally up to you. If you do the roadmap course, you're going to get everything that's in the email course plus tons more. But if you just want to start off, the email course is free. So do the email course. We don't care. We just want you to have a good experience on the road. That's why we do this. That's why we work on all this stuff and make it all for you. Try to keep a nice, healthy environment in our group so you guys can ask questions and figure it out.
Oh, so Nancy had the Y membership is good throughout the U.S. So
nice.
You're good on that. And Brigitte, it's not all of them are expensive. The campsites with pools and the ones we've seen lately, it's just part of the deal with it because they're trying to attract families and everything. So they have a pool.
Yeah, it's pretty normal. I mean, we've stayed in really cheap campgrounds where the only benefit to being there was that it had a pool. Right. And so that's nice. Blake, yes, we do see a lot of families on the road. RV kids seem to be really well adjusted, and they're quick at like making friends, and they talk to people all different ages. So I'm not a huge fan of kids.
He says that,
RV
and like kids love
me.
Love him.
But that doesn't mean. Yes, it's something about me. Like if I try to ignore them, they just want to sit in my lap and make me read books. But RV kids, I can deal with. They're usually easy to deal with. If you look back a couple of weeks, and we'll post a link afterward, we had Jill from Full Time Families come on and do our live show here. That's Full Time Families. That's for you. That's families that live on the road with kids, and they have tons of resources. They do meetups so that you can go and have other families with kids, and everybody can do things together, and they do learning things, and they talk about homeschooling and road schooling and all of that stuff as well.
Tell me either.
Yeah. But yeah, there are tons of kids on the road. And that's a good age. Once they start getting into their teens, then it's like, yeah, I don't want to be with dad all the time. And we've had some friends where like they had a deal with their kid is like, we're going to do this. And if at any point you want to go to school, like public school or whatever, you tell us and we'll stop. And then kid hit about 13 and said,
I think it was like 14. It was going into high school.
He's like, yeah, I want to go to school. So that was it. They stopped, and now the kid gets to see what high school's like.
Yes, I think that was part of the deal. If you want to go to high school, we'll stop.
Yeah.
And they did.
So, Evelyn, we have a Newmar Baystar. It's a little 30-foot Newmar Baystar. One of these days, it's not going to be so brown inside, I think. But, we got a lot of other things. And we do a
tow vehicle. We have a Nissan Xterra because Brandon likes to drive in dirt.
And onto rocks and
onto
into
rocks and everywhere else.
Yeah.
So we actually started out with a Mini Cooper so that we would save on fuel and get that great fuel economy.
And that was a good idea. And it is a smart idea still. It's like the motorhome's never great. And then the Mini was like 25 to 30 miles per gallon. So
we were trying to trade off there, you know. Big motorhome doesn't give very much gas mileage, and hey, so we'll drive this when we're parked. But yeah, Brandon likes to take it off the road.
Yeah, if I see dirt, I just go, even if I don't have any ground clearance.
So it didn't work as well. Yeah. So we traded that in.
There was a quick question earlier. What's the longest we've stayed somewhere? I think there's two things. One is we've stayed at like her mom's house when we were figuring some things out and working on some stuff. So that was like 2 months, but that wasn't real. RV wise, a month is usually the longest we'll stay anywhere. We've actually got a month stay coming up.
In one spot. But then we spent a whole winter a few months in the Keys, but we had to bounce around there.
Yeah, we moved. But ideally, I think 2 weeks is our sweet spot. And again, this is another one of those things is very individual. We like 2 weeks, gives us enough time to work, but enough time to see things in town. Gives us a full weekend to see what's going on. But that's our sweet spot. But a month is about the longest we've stayed.
That we typically stay, yeah. It's been over a few places, but usually that's with family or something like that. Even if it's at a campground, we're near family.
Yeah.
Right? And we're visiting. Regina, we have stayed at vineyards. It's called Harvest Hosts, that you can stay at different vineyards and farms and things like
Museums.
Yes. I put a link to our resources page. There's a link to Harvest Host right on it. So you can check that out. And actually, if you go to the RV to Freedom Facebook page, not the group, but the page, and go into the videos, there's a interview we did with the previous owners who just sold it of Harvest Host, and you can learn more about it there too. Yeah,
it's very cool. We enjoyed a lot. Are we staying in any in Canada?
Yes, I would think so.
Yeah, I think we're going to stay at a couple in Canada. And it's great. And that's another thing. Like if you have solar or generator or you're comfortable off grid, it's an easy one to take a night here and there and do something interesting that's not just a Walmart parking lot or somewhere.
Right.
So what's our take on work camping? Blake says, I think it's cool. A lot of people do it. If it's your sole source of income, it's not a lot of income. It can be done, but it does take a lot of work. But just the idea of trading off your site for working at the place isn't really going to pay your bills. But a lot of people like to do it. We were actually thinking of doing it this winter in Florida because it's not hard work. You get a site for free, and the hours you put in may not equal like the money you would have paid, but you get to do things with other people and see stuff, and you're not paying for the site. And if you're just going to sit around anyway,
it's definitely something to explore. I know Stacy's been on here. If she's still here, they've been work camping this summer. I didn't think of what season it was. That's terrible. This summer. And Nancy, Ellen's right. The Y pools are going to be heated. Campground pools typically aren't. They're also a lot smaller. that might be fine for you. Some ponds are not very deep. So it depends on what you feel like, if that's acceptable to you. And
I would hold.
I was gonna say, and how early you get out. If you get out before there's a bunch of kids in the pool, because that happens. But during the week, you don't find that as much.
But the other thing is, there are YMCA's everywhere, but are they where you're going to be camping?
Yeah, that's what she was trying to
it could
figure
be
out.
At the other end of town, or we spend a lot of time in small towns. There's no YMCA where we are now in St. Ignace. There's no YMCA in any of the places we've come from. So I would think about maybe let the membership go. If you can get it back for the same price later, let it go. Don't pay money for something that you're not using, and then see if you can use it when you get out there.
All right, guys. Well, we're gonna head over here and sign up for the course if you want to learn more about the costs and you get your budget worksheet and everything. That's go.rvtofreedom.com/costs, and we'll see you next week.
Bye. Tomorrow is half price pizza day. So in the trying to keep the budget down, we say pizza for tomorrow night. All right, guys. Bye. Just go away. Just be gone. See you, Chad.
We hope you enjoyed this replay of our Facebook Live show.
Join our Facebook community to participate in the live shows and learn how to live in an RV.
Go to RVtofreedomgroup.com to join the RV to Freedom Facebook group.
And to be notified about our next live videos and more, sign up with the link provided below in the video description.
We want to help you find your RV to freedom.